Who inspires you? Your mother? Your child? Inspiration comes in many forms, and at WBGU-TV, you inspire us to bring entertaining and educational programming to our region. Get inspired, stay inspired.
Hi, I'm Jeff Snook, and I am the proprietor of Snook's Dream Cars, which is basically the Snook family car collection on display along with lots of other automobilia memorabilia. My father started collecting cars when I was in high school. And when I say collect, he bought an old Model A Ford for he and I to restore. In 1998, I sold the family business. At the time, all of our cars and automobilia, memorabilia, stuff was stored at our factory in a warehouse. So once I sold the business, those people wanted that warehouse. So we decided to buy some land and construct a brand new building, but we wanted it to look like an old-time service station. You first enter, you're in a recreated 1940s era service station with a 1920 cash register and all the things you could have bought in a service station back in the day. Then you walk through our little gift shop and enter the collection area, and that's where the many different myriad of things my father's collected over the years is on display, from model cars to a very complete and extensive Texaco collection. After that, then you work your way into what we call the car museum area, and there'll be about 25 cars on display, kind of 5 major categories, starting with the early cars, the cars from the 20s and 30s, and these are displayed in front of a simulated general store, built and designed, by the way, by the graphics department. The design department did a nice job with that. And the next scene is downtown Bowling Green, about 1947, right after the war. And you'll see pictures of what downtown Bowling Green buildings look like back then. The buildings are still existing, just the names have been changed to the businesses that were there. Retail on the bottom, business offices, professional people up the top floor, and those are all painted on the windows by a wonderful sign painter we had do this. So that's where you're going to see cars from the 30s and the 40s. And then there's another scene that's got a Jeep in it. My father was in a motor pool in World War II and drove a Jeep, so one of the cars he collected was a Jeep, and he's got it all decorated out just like it was when he was serving in the service. And then he's also collected other World War II memorabilia, some of it his, some of it not. Then we jump to the 50s, and we've got a 50s diner scene where we have cars from the 50s parked in front of them, and that's where you'll see the cars with all the pastel colors, the two-tone cars. There'll be cars in front of that scene. Next scene, the last scene then, is of the pits of Sebring. Sebring is a racetrack, one of the earliest racetracks in the country, and after World War II, they turned this airstrip into a racetrack occasionally, and I happen to love going down there to race. We still race there, and that's where you'll see my race cars, and some of our English sports cars will be parked in that area. We have a couple pretty rare cars. The rarest one is a 1956 Lotus 11 Le Mans race car, built in England in 1956. It's been a race car all of its life. Only 250 of those have been built. The other rare car we have is a 1954 Kaiser Darren. They only built 435 of those, and we happen to have probably the one with the lowest miles on it in the world. And it's been repainted once, everything else is original on the car, and it's just superb. This is a living museum, which means that they're all running, reliable, and ready to show, meaning it's in the best condition we can possibly make it. The last part of the museum is our shop. We've got a full-time mechanic who takes care of not only all of our cars in our museum, but we also work on other people's cars. And then another leg that Dream Car stands on is the selling of vehicles for outside people. Basically, we bring people's cars in that they don't want to have anymore. I tell folks I specialize in emptying your garage and filling your checkbook. I have a couple Jaguars that I'm particularly partial to, but I like driving them all. And if I go racing, which is one thing I like to do for fun, vintage racing, That's probably the most fun a guy can have. These are cars my father and I have dreamt about and have looked long and hard or spent a lot of time restoring them, and they're cars we want to have. When you're a car collector, there's certain cars you want to have.